Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Winter is Writing. I am keeping it short and simple today, and oh, there's my cat. This is Kayla. She is a princess. Love her very much, but she's very helpful. So, as I was saying, I'm keeping it short and sweet this week because I'm getting ready to head up to Easter Swing this weekend up in Seattle. Very excited. And starting earlier today because, gotta pack tonight. So today I'm going to talk about something that I've personally been struggling with in my work in progress, which is developing a really strong supporting character for your story, and why it can feel like balancing a complex chemical equation. I don't know about you, but I was a super nerd in high school, and I loved balancing chemical equations in my chemistry class. But it's not as straightforward and mathematical when you're writing a story. So let's back up a little bit to one of my beliefs about strong storytelling, and that is everything in the story, from the plot, the things that happen, to the characters, to the setting, everything needs to be strategically designed to propel the story forward, and specifically to propel the protagonist's character arc. So last week, Rosie Thor was back on the show, and we were talking about character arcs using The Princess Bride as our main example. We talked a lot about Inigo Montoya and Buttercup, and what was good and bad about those character arcs, and how, sorry, my cat keeps nuzzling my computer, hence the slight wiggling of the camera, sorry. And how what makes for really great storytelling is a complete character arc. So Inigo Montoya in The Princess Bride is the only one who has a full character arc, where he starts out as basically a henchman for Vizzini, seeking vengeance for his father. And then at the end, he gets to a place where he has acquired his vengeance. He's gotten his revenge against the Six-Fingered Man, but he's become something more. He's become a leader and is prepared to accept the mantle of the Dread Pirate Roberts so Westley can retire and live happily ever after with Buttercup. And what makes that story so powerful for Inigo is because the rest of the story and the world and the characters are set up to propel him through that character arc, right? Like if the Dread Pirate Roberts or the Man in Black had never showed up on that cliff face. You keep nuzzling the laptop. It's not very helpful. Say hi. Hello. All right, she'll probably be back. So where was I? If the Man in Black had never shown up on the cliff face going after Buttercup and dueled Inigo to get to Buttercup, Inigo would have never been propelled down his character arc. He probably would have remained a henchman ever onward and kind of lazily seeking the Six-Fingered Man to get his revenge. So in that context, the Man in Black is a catalyst to propel Inigo down his path to change, right? So what I've been struggling with in my work in progress, which is a fantasy novel, the first in what I envisioned to be a trilogy, because apparently I am writing an epic fantasy and was not prepared for it, but I'm in love with the story and the characters, so I'm going to do my due diligence to do it right. And I am so focused on making my main character's arc across the whole trilogy and arc in each individual book powerful that I am kind of reverse engineering the plot and the world and the events that happen, and especially the characters that she interacts with, to propel her down her character arc all the way. And that can look like one of two different things. It can look like support, or it can look like triggers that escalate the conflict. And I have a supporting character in my story who is, yes, ultimately a love interest, but there's so much more going on to the character. And I want to give him a full character arc as well. And so I have this moment in my first book that is the dark night of the soul for my protagonist. Like, I feel a bit like a sadist because I really want it to be a devastating moment in the story for my character. And I not only want my protagonist, her name's Jo, I not only want her to be devastated, but I want the reader to be devastated. Like, I want people to cry. Because that would make the following transformation that she undergoes so much more powerful, like her rising from the ashes moment. And what happens in that scene, like, to me, because I understand everything that's going on in my story, to me, it's a devastating moment. But for my reader to read it as devastating, they need to know everything I know, which that's where good writing comes in. I have to set that up throughout the whole story leading up to that moment. And I'm now working on planning my fourth draft. And I've had a couple of alpha readers read the third draft, and I got lots of feedback on this supporting character, whose name is Tyler, so you know who I'm talking about, that he reads as too suspicious the whole way through, so when he gets to the point where he betrays Jo, the main character, it's like, well, duh. So it's not devastating. So I have been spending a lot of time kind of chipping away at Tyler's character and really getting to the root of what's going on with him, because while I need to design his character to propel Jo's arc, it won't work if his character isn't organic and based in like a real person and what like a real person would do under these circumstances. And that's why it feels like balancing a chemical equation, because I have like all of these results over on the one side that I want to happen for my main character, but I need to make sure that like the originating side, Tyler as a character, makes sense and is organic, and I want him to have a character arc too, because ultimately he is another hero in the story for me, even though he's an antagonist in the first book. Whew, complicated, right? Yay, epic fantasy. So I'm currently using a lot of different tools to kind of really get to the heart of what is going on with Tyler. And then I am manipulating the choices I make for him, for his actions in the story, based on the result I want to have. So I have actually, like, I don't have it with me, but I started like a pros and cons sheet today with lists, talking about two different options that I could take with his character in this new rewrite. Because I need to remove the suspicion from him, or I need to put the suspicion on someone else, which ultimately means I'm probably going to add a character to my already complicated story. But the question is, do I add an entirely separate character, or because of the magic system I have, do I have Tyler posing as someone else? And therefore Tyler kind of has like two identities, and then the reveal in the Dark Night of the Soul moment is that it's one and the same, and that intensifies the betrayal that my main character experiences. So that's a little bit of like where my headspace is right now. I feel crazy, and it can feel like writer's block because outwardly it appears like I'm not making progress on my writing. And it's interesting because in my coaching business right now, I'm trying to put together a kind of like writer's coach in your pocket kind of tool right now, like the questions I would ask a writing coaching client if they're experiencing writer's block. because writer's block can take many different forms and have many different root causes. Outwardly, what it looks like is no forward progress on a writing project. But depending on how you're experiencing that lack of progress, changes what kind of writer's block you're having. So like what I'm having is I have a problem in my story. I am actively seeking a solution for that problem. But even though I've plugged in many hours seeking that solution, I haven't found it yet. And that can feel like writer's block, and it's really frustrating. But because I understand that I will ultimately find a solution if I don't give up and I continue plugging away at it and investing time in seeking the solution, I'll find it. It doesn't make like the interim any less frustrating, but I am actually writing, I am actually making progress because I am investing time seeking a solution. And I'm using a lot of different tools in my toolbox to try to get to that solution. And like, it can look like a lot of things. It can look like me sitting and staring out a window and just thinking forever, trying to think my way through a problem. It can look, hi mom. It can look like me sitting and writing lists about like all the stuff that's going on. Or like today, it ended up being a pros and cons list for like my 2 current ideas for solutions. But anyway, so that's one form of writer's block where like you've got a problem, you're actively seeking a solution, but the solution is continuing to elude you for a long period of time. A different type of writer's block will look like you have no ideas. You just sit and stare at a blank page and you have no idea what to write. That's a different type of writer's block. There's another one where like you have too many ideas and you're overwhelmed by a blank page because you have no idea which idea to work on, that kind of thing. So anyways, that's a bit of a tangent, but I think I've more or less kind of covered where my headspace is with supporting characters today. So because I have to get ready for Easter swing this weekend, I'm gonna call it short today. But if those of you who are watching this on the replay, if you have more questions about what I talked about, why writing supporting characters is like balancing a chemical equation, go ahead and like put them in the comments, or go to my website, accountabilitymuse.com/winteriswriting. And there's a form where you just like plug in your name. You can remain anonymous if you want, and your question. And it pops up in a spreadsheet of mine, so I keep track of them and I answer them. So yeah, otherwise, everybody have an amazing rest of your week and weekend. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed meeting Kayla. She is now curled up in the other office chair, so she's not helping anymore, which is very helpful. So, good talking to you guys. See you later. Bye.